Hey friends, it's Avi from JustWriteMusic.com. Today, I want to talk to anybody who's new to writing music on a computer or are looking to build their first home studio. We've come a long way in the last 20 years. It's easier than ever to make professional quality tracks from budget equipment, and that's honestly all most of us really need. In this video, I'm going to break down the must-have components for your home studio that you can buy for under $350 and get you started making music at home and getting it out there. Having a home studio is pretty much a necessity as a songwriter or composer these days. Technology and music have always had a close relationship, but that doesn't mean computers and the internet haven't been just as transformative for music as it has for every other industry. Now, before we get started, I'm going to assume that you already have a laptop or a computer that you can use. The type of operating system you use may affect some hardware or software compatibility. I'm also going to assume that you already have your guitar or a keyboard or any other external instrument that you plan on recording. Now, there are 4 main components to any home studio, and really one of them, in my opinion, is a little optional. Just a little, especially for beginners. The first big component of your home studio is going to be, without doubt, an audio interface. This is a little box that you plug into your laptop. This is what you'll plug a microphone or a DI instrument into in order to actually record audio into your computer. Budget interfaces have come a very long way in the last 10 or 15 years, and you can get a really quality one for just $100. Interfaces do come in different sizes, and the size you get will vary, and the bigger the size, the more inputs and outputs it's more likely to have. Essentially, if you think you're going to be recording more than 1 or 2 instruments at a time, or doing some type of fancy stereo recording technique, then you're going to want at least 2 inputs. You really can't go wrong with any of the big names in terms of audio interfaces. PreSonus and Focusrite definitely offer you the most bang for your buck, so I would recommend picking up either a Scarlett or one of the Studio or Audio Box series. They both have solid preamps that will give you a fantastic, transparent sound. Now, the next big ticket item for your home studio setup is going to be an external microphone. A microphone is essential for recording audio, and having a quality microphone is everything. But there are so many different kinds and so many different types and price points. The overwhelm is real. As beginners, we really only need one mic, a large diaphragm condenser mic. Just like this guy. These are great for recording a ton of different instruments, particularly vocals and acoustic guitar, which are some of the most common instruments that you're going to be recording. You can get quite far with just one of these large diaphragm condenser mics, and there's plenty of quality ones from $50 and up. The one I just showed you was an Audio-Technica AT2020, which is one of the bulletproof mics in the budget space. And you really can't go wrong. A ton of these also are USB microphones, in which case you may need to bypass an audio interface, or some of them even have audio interfaces built into them. I remember I had a Samson G something that was a USB mic, but it also had this little line-in input. So for basically an acoustic guitar, you could put a little adapter on it and put it into like a direct in for an acoustic guitar. Kind of inherited that from my older sister. It was a really great introductory microphone for me until I decided to go and get this microphone, actually. I used that one for vocals for years until I got this one. Now, even if you don't plan to do a ton of vocal recording or a ton of actual audio recording, it's still great to have one of these in your studio in case someone comes in to collaborate, a vocalist or an instrumentalist, so you have something that they can use and lay down some takes. Now, another thing that these microphones are great to have for is if you are doing some type of YouTube channel or a podcast on the side as well as your music. If you're another content creator of any type that uses audio or records audio, then this is going to be a fantastic addition to your rig. Now, the third big ticket item in your home studio is going to be your digital audio workstation, or a DAW, or a DAW. This is arguably the most important aspect of your home studio setup, because this is what you're going to be interacting with in your computer to actually start pulling audio together and start putting your music together. There's a lot of DAWs out there. I actually made a video that compares and contrasts notation software to DAWs, and I go pretty in depth to the different types of DAWs that are out there, digital audio workstations that are out there. So go check that out. That's right up here. If you're totally new to this stuff, I 100% think that you should stick with some of the free options out there. Use that and get to know it really, really well, until you start to feel like you're growing out of it, like you're starting to feel like you need more functionality. Again, I recommend here that you stick with some of the bigger names in the digital audio workstation space. The main reason for this is that there's usually just a lot more content and tutorials out there for those DAWs, and I guarantee you if you're having a problem, someone else has had that problem before with the software. So the amount of resources that you have at your disposal with some of these bigger names are usually a lot better than some of the smaller brand or lesser well-known DAWs. Here's a quick list of free DAWs that I recommend you check out. First up is Garageband. This is one of the most popular free DAWs. It comes with an incredible suite of effects and virtual instruments and audio editing tools right out of the gate, completely stock. It's intuitive, it's easy to use, and it's a fantastic starting point for eventually graduating up to Logic Pro, which is one of the leading industry standard digital audio workstations in the recording industry. The only downside to GarageBand is that it's Mac only, so you're going to need some type of computer that runs Mac OS in order to download it. GarageBand is made by Apple, which explains why. The next free DAW that you can check out is Pro Tools First. This is another great option, though Pro Tools does tend to be geared more towards people focused on recording actual audio rather than using MIDI or virtual instruments. The premium version of Pro Tools First is even more ubiquitous than Logic is in the audio space and is probably the leading digital audio workstation that you can learn to use. If you're at all interested in the audio space and really getting into that world, I 100% recommend kind of getting your feet wet with Pro Tools and at least having some experience with it before you make or invest in make a bigger investment into a premium DAW. So the next DAW you might want to check out is Studio One. It is developed by PreSonus, a brand that I literally have spoken about just before. They are just one of those great brands. They don't pay me, I swear. I just like their stuff. This is an up-and-coming DAW. It's kind of new to the space, but it is getting great reviews, so absolutely go and check that out. In fact, if you get a PreSonus audio interface, it usually comes with the version of Studio One anyway. Now, the final main component that you're going to need for your home studio is studio monitors or studio headphones. What the audio is coming out of that you're hearing is just as important as where it's coming out of. This means it's important to get not just regular old headphones or speakers, but studio monitors or studio headphones. Pay attention to the difference in wording that I just used. These are studio monitors are made to monitor the audio. Any old set of speakers just won't really cut it, or at least that's what most people in the audio space will tell you. Now, if you're really serious about this, you want to start releasing music quickly, a budget pair of studio monitors is a great idea. They have what's called a flat response, which means that what you're hearing, the audio coming out of the speakers, is as close to the actual original recording as possible. Consumer speakers, the ones that we normally buy, are tuned differently. They often hype the low end or the high end in order to create a more powerful or present and immediate sound, which is pleasing and awesome to listen to, but ultimately colors the sound of the audio in a way that makes it harder for us as producers and creators to mix and master our music. And more of us these days are producing, mixing, and mastering our own music, which is why this is something that we just have to talk about. Now, when it comes to headphones, they're just a necessity. It's really important to have a pair of these hanging around. This is especially true if you're going to be recording any type of audio, especially in the same room of your home studio, which is normally the case. Or if you're going to be producing on off hours, you don't want to be, recording, mixing, or mastering and have it be too loud and bothering the neighbors, bothering the kids, bothering your partner. Let's not bother our partners. Now, mixing and mastering with headphones is pretty controversial. You'll hear diehards tell you that you absolutely should not do it and it's a terrible idea and you're never going to get a good translation. And there's other people that say, well, just if you know what you're doing, you can do it, no problem. Just make sure you check your mix on a bunch of different speakers. And that's essentially the camp that I fall into. Not all of us have a ton of money to spend on fantastic studio monitors or have the ability or know-how to create our own acoustic treatment or have a space that's even viable for any of this stuff. So sometimes mixing on your headphones is just a necessity. You just have to do it. In which case, just check your mix on as many different sets of speakers as you can, and you'll generally be okay, especially if you use a reference mix, which is really just something you should absolutely do no matter what, whether you have studio monitors or headphones or whatever. A reference mix is where you take a song that's in a similar genre or has the type of sonic characteristics you want in your mix, in your production, and you emulate it to the best of your ability. Now, if you're ready to pick up a budget set of monitors, anything from PreSonus, KRK, or Yamaha are going to be perfect for your needs. These are huge brands. They have been in this space and making these speakers for a long time. Well, except for PreSonus. They're kind of new to the space, but again, they're getting great reviews. And I have a pair of Era C5s, and I like them. They're great. They're good speakers. They are good monitors. The only caveat with getting these studio monitors is that you should aim for anything that has a 5-inch woofer or larger. Anything below then, you're not going to get a really good or any low-end response. And it's important to have low-end response in order to accurately judge what's going on in your mix. There you have it. That's really all you need in order to create your first home studio. To make things even easier, there's a ton of bundles out there on Amazon, on Sweetwater, Musician's Friend, that will just give you everything you need in just one package, which is for a fantastic price, literally under $350 in a lot of cases. I 100% recommend checking out one of those and use a free DAW or DAW to start you off. You really can't go wrong there. Before we sign off, I want to clarify something about gear. It's really easy to get stuck in a gear hole. A gear hole is when you just start buying more and more gear because you think it's going to make your music better or your mixes better. But remember, gear is meant to facilitate creativity. It's not the source of it. Don't get a new piece of gear until you know you have a real-world use case for it. And when you do, get to know it and use it for a really long time. It's more important to use your gear well than to have the best or newest or most expensive gear. Because ultimately, your gear is only as good as you are. You can have the best studio monitors, the best interface, the best preamp, the best guitar, the best everything, and in the best room and in the best studio space, and none of it will matter if you don't have any production skills or know how to record. Just like if you play guitar and you've been playing for 2 months, but you're playing a $15,000 guitar, you're not going to sound any better than if you're playing a Squier Strat. Now, your skill as a producer, as a songwriter, is what you should really invest in first and foremost. And part of making great songs is having great melodies. That's why I want to tell you about my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. This is perfect for you if you're looking for easy and versatile tools to get your melody game up a notch. Forget about agonizing over what your melody is missing and going over it over and over and over again. These steps help you add instant intrigue and are completely repeatable until you're happy with your melody. Head to justwritemusic.com to download my free gift to you. There's a link down in the description. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It means so much. I'm Avi, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out!